Hello and welcome to another episode of Recharge Wrestling. I'm Krusty and I'm here with Keeney and Fisher.
Hello, guys.
And today we have a very, very special Money in the Bank review and overview. So basically, we're just going to start from the bottom of the card, go up, say our opinions on what we think is going to happen in the future, and give you a good layout of what happened in those matches. Before we start, please give us a like and subscribe. We really appreciate it. And can I just say, their predictions were really good and really close for this one. And well done to Jack and Natasha, both having their first wins. So well done on that. Keeping a lookout for our predictions leagues that come out every AEW and WWE pay-per-view. It's good fun. We've had a few new people starting, so welcome to you. Let's start from the bottom of the card. What did we reckon to this then?
Yeah, well, we opened with the women's Money in the Bank match. Just the 7 of them here. I mean, what did you guys make of the match overall before we get on to who won?
Well, I don't know about you, but I thought it was the better of the 2 matches overall, which kind of surprised me, not because it's the women, because I know they're capable, but I just thought the guys in the Money in the Bank men's match would do, some of them, we'll get to it, but I thought some of them would do a lot more than they did.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the women actually really over-delivered here. Obviously,
I hadn't really thought about it till you said that, but I think I do agree.
Yeah.
I love matches, as I spoke about before, where you've got multiple people and they all interact with each other at a similar time. I think that takes some real skill and it looks great. Looking forward to the men's. There was a couple of big spots, but the rest of it was just one-on-one. Whereas the women had brilliant spots, where they were always like 3 or 4 plus people in the ring together, which was really good.
I felt like everyone had their chance to shine in the women's match, whereas in the men's, I feel like it was carried by a couple of people. We'll get to who later, but yeah, the women's one, I felt like obviously Liv had a massive part in it, but I thought Raquel had a really dominant start. Asuka and Becky had some great stuff, as you'd expect, being the sort of ring generals of the match. Shotzi had her moments and took some big bumps in it.
She also had a big botch, Shotzi, didn't she?
Yeah. Lacey had a couple of cool moments, and Alexa Bliss did a bit. She didn't do too much, but I thought everyone shone a little bit, and there was some really big.
Rodriguez showed some superior power.
Yeah, I mean, she had some awesome spots.
The deadlifting bit was going to be quite cool, but I think she got the ladder in the wrong spot. Didn't quite lift it properly. But straight after that, she hit a double suplex, which was pretty incredible, to be fair.
That was on. Yeah, Becky and Liv, I know. Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think everyone got their moment here. Maybe less so Alexa Bliss potentially, but
I've got a couple of notes from her, but not as much as some of the others. Yeah,
I mean, for me, obviously Liv is the standout. You know, Liv won a match, and it turned out to be Liv's night. Full stop. This was her pay-per-view, but finally, exactly.
Definitely deserved
I think
well deserved.
Yeah, amazing. But I thought in this, I'm sure. I mean, I know it's obvious, but I thought Becky Lynch just
we all
shone.
predicted it, didn't we?
No, we all did. But I just thought she was superb.
It's quite interesting. And talking of predictions, we had a very split predictions league, mainly between those 2 people. Though there were, I think, 4 or 5 people that went for Liv Morgan in our league. Obviously, us 3 all went for Becky, but it was interesting that other people outside of our little bubble did go for, quite a lot of them went for Liv to win this. There wasn't a lot of other. There was one for Asuka, one for Alexa, and one for Lacey as well. But most people went for either Becky Lynch or Liv Morgan, which was interesting.
Yeah, and you know what? I think I would have considered Liv more if you've watched my predictions video, that Liv was booked so strong on the Go Home show on SmackDown.
And now I understand why.
Yeah,
because she was cashing in.
Yeah, I just thought, well, Liv isn't going to win. This never happens. You know, you don't win. She got the pin. She got the commentators are bigging her up, and I was like, oh, that means she's not going to win the.
That was a big deal that she managed to pin Alexa as well, wasn't it?
Yeah,
big over.
Yeah, she beat Alexa as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's why I'm really high on this Money in the Bank win, because they built her up in the build-up to win 2 matches. She won, and then she cashed in on Ronda Rousey, of all people as well, on the same night.
I know we're not there yet, but I dreaded that she wasn't going to
Oh,
cash
yeah,
in
yeah,
at one
yeah.
point.
Same
I
here.
thought,
Oh
I
yeah,
thought
when
she's
she was
gonna-
in the ankle lock, I was like, oh no,
I was like,
don't do
yeah.
this.
I was like, they're just going to waste it, aren't they? They would have got booed out of the building if that had happened.
Well, there were boos anyway, but yeah.
Yeah, but if it actually happened, oh my god,
Yeah.
that would have been terrible. But yeah, I thought obviously, yeah, it was a really good match. This I really liked it. Trying to look at some of the actual spots to talk about. But yeah, there was. I'm trying to go through my notes.
Yeah,
I mentioned most of them now.
Yeah, there wasn't too many massive spots.
Well, I
on
guess
this
really
one.
the only thing that I really picked out as a cool spot that I can't say I've really seen before was the way it ended, where
Oh yeah, that was awesome.
Liv sort of pushed her ladder into Becky's, which then knocked her
Yeah,
flying.
oh yeah, she was being pushed, wasn't she? And she like
She
stops herself on the ropes.
Stopped herself on the ropes. I thought that was a good finish.
Back
to
again,
the
that
match.
was awesome.
And the crowd reaction to her winning both times was really, really good as well, by the way.
Yeah, that is amazing. I mean, the crowd are big into Liv. They have been, the Liv fans are very vocal. The only big spot I've got written down here is Becky's leg drop onto Asuka onto the ladder, which was like laid across. That was a big spot. And I mean, they showed the replay and like there's no give there. She just landed on Asuka. That must have killed. But yeah, like I say, the ending was really good. Because I thought Becky had done it when she pushed Liv, but then Liv obviously stops herself, come back up. So yeah, really cool. And like I say, a unique finish. And they gave the fans what they want with the winner. They didn't ruin it. And she's cashed in successfully. But let's just wait a bit, because this time last year, Nikki ASH won the Money in the Bank.
Well, this is what I was.
She cashed in successfully, and then she's done. A few weeks later.
I am slightly concerned because I saw some stuff today about the potential match for SummerSlam being Liv versus Charlotte if she returns.
Oh, for God's
I'm already
sake.
thinking. Don't
Although
do it. Don't. They could have Liv just beat her.
If she
Liv win.
If she beat Charlotte, that's a real good way of solidifying her as a real contender and champion.
I also think
maybe have her drop it at day one or something like that if you don't want her to hold it to Mania.
In terms of her winning the title as well, I think having her, I didn't expect it, but having her cashing in on the SmackDown side was a really smart decision because SmackDown needed her. Like it needed an injection of popular. They've got some women on there like that they use, but none of them are that popular anymore. Like,
and especially now Sasha's gone.
Yeah, without Sasha there, Charlotte's isn't a big name. Naomi is very popular. Like really, you're looking at Lacey Evans, Xia Li, these people, Shotzi, Aaliyah. They're not big names. They don't really get massive reaction.
I would love to see Naomi come back at some point and they have a feud.
If you brought Naomi back as a heel, bloodline style, and you did that would be epic. Yeah, that would be really good, I think.
Yeah, and again, we're kind of flip flop because it's just the nature of how the night went. But I thought I was actually wearing flip flops right now. I was fully expecting Ronda to turn heel, and I thought it would have been a very good time to turn her heel because the crowd was so into Liv's win, and I thought if Ronda just destroys her here, this would be a great
I think she's going to have
Ronda.
some time off, and then I hope she comes back heel. I think it's time to see a different side to her, isn't it? And I think her wrestling style will actually be better heel.
Everything about her just is better heel. I just don't think she's a good face.
Then you could have something with Shayna.
Yeah, have them as a team there, and then you eventually turn Becky face. You have Becky Ronda down the line at Mania. You could have a Ronda Liv feud with Ronda as a heel. Although I don't think they'd have Ronda lose to Liv in a proper match, but who knows? But yeah, that's the only thing I was gonna.
I was guessing
mention.
That's why they didn't do the beatdown because they'd have had to then do Ronda v Liv again, and Liv beating Ronda like in a proper match. Are they going to do that? And then if not, then you have to have Ronda win the title back, which would have made it pointless. So
yeah, but then from their point of view, do they want to make a star? Because they've got a real chance with Liv. They've got, and we'll get onto it later. But there's
if the Charlotte thing's right,
star building tonight's a new star building. I think. Well, the top of WWE's changed. This could already be the swing we needed. If Vince was sat in that chair, would he have allowed what happened to happen.
Based on
he would have done with the main
I
event.
was going to say, based on what happened in the main event, I'm going to say that Vince is still having a big say in what's going on, because I think that was a Vince booking decision.
You think it was?
Yeah.
Before
I know he's big on him, but
well, Triple H and Stephanie might like him as well. We don't know.
I think it's a great opportunity anyway.
But
and I
Vince
think
is
Liv
still
could be a
head of creative.
huge star.
Oh,
I really
absolutely. And
Liv really could. She's one of the most, if not the most over female on the roster right now. She is big.
One more thing to talk about the actual match before we move on to sort of the cash in and segue on. After the match, I really, really liked Becky's selling and reaction, because she was so close. And I think that actually builds the storyline further. We spoke about on the pod on Thursday, Keeney, and in your predictions video as well, which is like Becky's kind of the obvious winner because she's got the story. This actually furthers the story more than her winning it, in my opinion. So looking back on it, I actually think that's really good, because now she's gonna be even more pissed off. She was so close to winning it after not qualifying initially, beaten by Asuka, squeezing in at the last minute, and then coming so close to winning it and not winning it. I think actually adds to her character more than her winning it anyway.
It's
and
probably
to be honest,
too
she doesn't
early
need
to bring her out of this character change.
Yeah, and she doesn't really need the briefcase in terms of she can win the title at any moment. So
and that's what's good about these briefcase wins is it's not someone who you can just put in a title picture straight away. Like neither of the two winners are.
Well, Liv won the title straight away.
No, I know, but if it was, as I think we all predicted, Becky and Seth, they could both be put in a title feud like that. They don't need any storyline. They don't need any build. Just put them in a title picture and they're in. Whereas you can't do that with Liv and Theory, the two winners. So I think that's exactly what you want from Money in the Bank. You want it to go to people that have never won the championship before, get a brand new champion. That's one thing. And also someone, again, they're in this, there's like tiers, there's top championship level, then there's the bottom, like nobody's, but there is that upper mid-card tier where probably both of the winners fit into, where we would like them to be higher up, or well, some of us would get onto the main event later on, but these people that you think could go to the top tier, but they're being propelled there by Money in the Bank. And that's what I always think Money in the Bank should be used for, is exactly how they've used it here. So we'll talk about it later, but I'm big on the two.
I think they did it really well last year, particularly with Big E. Obviously, they wasted the Nikki ASH thing and they made a mess of that.
Yeah, well, I guess those two.
Big E last year was another good example of that. His title reign wasn't amazing, but his cash in.
But he had a title reign though. That's and it was fairly, it wasn't as silly as Nikki ASH's.
I think his Money in the Bank win is very similar to Liv Morgan's, in the fact that people have been clamoring for him to win the top title for a very long time, like years.
Yeah.
And he's a baby face and he's beloved, and then he gets it. And then obviously he held the case for a little bit longer than Liv did.
Oh, a hell of a lot longer.
Talking of that, I think one thing we do need to talk about, and I was going to do a poll on this, but I didn't get around to doing it, is what do you think of them doing the cash in again on the same night with the women? Because there's been a criticism of them not doing enough creative storylines with the women Money in the Bank winners, and I saw a statistic earlier. So the last all of them is everyone.
Depends what the deal is with Ronda, because if Ronda's ready for a break, which it wouldn't surprise me if this is the reason why, you almost have to do it now, because you couldn't let Natalya win. And if Liv then cashed in on Natty, it wouldn't be a big deal.
The only other thing she could cash in is obviously she could cash in on Bianca, but we don't know that.
She could have done, but as you said before, they need her on SmackDown.
Yeah. I agree.
Bianca,
it's the right decision, but I'm just saying it wouldn't have surprised me that much. We'll get to the end of the Bianca match in a minute, but it wouldn't have surprised me if they'd done it there. But yeah, for me, I understand why they did it here, but it doesn't look good on paper when last year Nikki ASH held it for one day. She cashed in on Raw the next night. The year before, I think, was the Asuka one where she won the title and Becky handed it over to her the day after. Then it was Alexa Bliss cashing in on the same night as well.
Yeah, she did the same night.
It's not good in the fact
Bayley
that
did it in the same night.
You're not getting the creative with the Money in the Bank briefcase.
Yeah, that's my only issue.
You are making the night about the women.
Yeah,
that's the main thing. You're making the Money in the Bank pay-per-view a women's showcase.
This definitely felt like that not just for this match, but the fact you had three out of the 6 matches, 2 title matches, 3 out of the 6 matches, and I was counting. I think it was 12 or 11 women featured on this pay-per-view. It's pretty good going these days. Like, so I agree with you on that sense.
I do get the point, and I do agree as a general rule they should, and that's why I think I would have been quite happy with Becky winning, because I think she would have held it for ages and mocked people with it. That's what you want a Money in the Bank holder to do historically. But on this night, the right decision was to have Liv Morgan cash in straight away. I think it just worked perfectly to just do it. And like you say, this is what we're all talking about. I know we're opening because it was the opening match, but that's the takeaway from this pay-per-view, in my opinion, is Liv Morgan. She's
of course, because she's cashed in on this one. Like, even if she just won the Money in the Bank, we'd probably be.
We couldn't have had a male cash in because none of the championships.
Well,
were there.
yeah.
There you go. But it's just interesting because like I say, statistically, I think the only one, Carmella held it for like 290 days or something, like a really long time. But
didn't she cash in on Charlotte? Didn't she, when the Iconics debuted and beat up Charlotte?
Maybe I can't remember if the Iconics debuted.
I think that's right.
It was on an episode of SmackDown. I know that wasn't on pay-per-view.
Yeah, I think it was the Iconics.
I remember her just super kicking Charlotte and then winning. Yeah, I think you might have been right because someone had a match or beat up Charlotte. Carmella come down and did a super kick and pinned her. I didn't remember who, but you're probably right.
Yeah, there we go. Well, should we just quickly cover off Ronda and I know it's not the next match.
I think we should, yeah.
But we've basically spoke about it.
Yeah.
We spoke about the Arthur angle. We think we've all given our thoughts. Anything to say on the match itself? Because for me, this was, a standard, a title win as
it was
as
okay.
goes.
I mean, one thing that I did like was the sort of submission battle and the fact that Natty actually did get a good show, to be honest. She got a good run. It wasn't like the only annoying thing is you could think back to like sort of maybe a month or two ago and she was tapping out in 2 seconds, maybe not even that.
Yeah.
I also thought, excluding the last match they had, I still think this was better than some of the Charlotte Ronda matches we've had over the time. There was more intrigue around it. It was pretty obvious that Natty wasn't going to win, but it was different.
It was,
that's something I liked about it.
I think to your point, I think Natalya was probably, in hindsight, the right opponent. They wanted Ronda to be
weakened.
Yeah, slightly injured, a bit weakened after the match. To have her in a ring with a submission specialist is probably the right way to go about things. So I'll give WWE credit for having a bit of foresight and knowing they were going to have Liv win, Liv cash in on Ronda. Therefore, Ronda's opponent should be someone who could injure her.
Yeah, and Natalya, that worked really well.
And she was hobbling around, wasn't she?
Natalya is not a threat to win, but she is a threat to injure her.
Liv went straight for that injured leg. So that really played into it.
It's the only time I don't mind a roll-up. This was a perfect time because it's believable that they're going to be not strong enough to kick out of it. So I was fine with that.
Yeah.
And
cash-ins are sneaky, aren't they? So rolling up by nature kind of works with...
Sneaky, apart from she was caught in a ankle lock.
That was painful. Oh my God.
I was chatting to Fisher live. I was like, no.
I was thinking, please don't do this.
If they had done that,
been fuming.
And Liv taps out and Ronda and asked for money and hadn't gone, God, that would have been disastrous.
That would have been a disaster.
That would have been a Brock Rumble sort of disappointment, I think.
yeah, that would have been shocking. Anything else on Ronda and Natalya before we?
I was just going to say I agree with you about the submissions made it interesting. They one up in each other, using each other's moves. Ronda got the sharpshooter in. I thought that was a nice touch. I liked what they did with that. The match was okay. Kind of at the end of it, I was like, is that it? But then the cash-in happens to make it about the cash-in. You don't even remember the match, really.
No.
So I think, actually, because before the pay-per-view, people were looking at these 2 title matches like, God, this is filler. Like, what's the point of this? But actually, this one really served a purpose in the end because of the cash-in. And like you say, Natalya being the right opponent to weaken her. And I think the other women's match was good enough that it won people over anyway. So I think they did a good job with everything about the women on the show, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree, actually. Really, really good showing from all of them.
And what I really liked afterwards as well with Ronda, obviously we got the hug thing, the babyface, but that was a legit thing as well. So I saw online earlier something about Ronda saying that Liv Morgan should cash in on her, basically.
Okay.
Because Liv is like the most hardworking, most passionate wrestling fan, like wrestler who deserves a title in the company right now. And yeah, so Ronda really put her over in that sense, by the sounds of it. Which
I'm really pleased. I'm really pleased.
And it just shows Ronda has a lot of respect for her co-workers, and
other than Natalia, by the sounds of it.
No,
that's the one she has a problem with.
In kayfabe.
I just want to say we were just praising all the women, but there was one thing on this show which it wasn't a match. But
God,
weird!
I was going to get to this. Yeah,
backstage thing with Alexa Bliss and Lily, and what was it, the Capital One card? And it was just
massively
the most like corporate advert ever. Oh God, it was horrible.
It was the wrong person to get doing that.
Alexa Bliss is a really good actress as well, but this was just
and she was talking to Lily, which she hasn't really been doing, so it didn't really fit her current character. It was awful.
Yeah,
this was bad.
To do this here, I thought was weird.
I was going to get to the little because there was a few little segments.
That wasn't what I thought you were going to bring up. Then there was a different segment I thought you were going to bring up.
Okay.
Did you see it, Sean?
Oh, I don't know what.
You want to go with the women?
What was it?
No, not the women.
Oh, okay. We'll get to that.
Okay. Yeah.
Because
okay, you did see it. I was excited to tell you.
Yeah. I think I did. If it's
wait, Max Fisher has the exact timing that it happened. So
no, I have it written in. I have it written in order, so we can just. I mean, we can talk about it now if you want.
No, it's fine.
Yeah, go on. Let's talk about it now. Let's talk about it now.
Let's keep on the hook.
I think we should talk about the little bits that weren't matches. Actually, let's do that.
Yeah, let's do them all now. Let's get off the hook.
I said earlier that we were going to do this in order. That's absolutely scrapped.
It's out the window.
I've cashed in, and we're all over the place.
Yeah. So, are you talking about the weird, like,
creepy
spooky
thing? Yeah. I didn't know what this was in aid of. My guess is Edge. Without, I haven't looked anything up here.
I've seen some stuff about it since, and it looks like it is Edge.
Because straight away, I had a couple.
I didn't notice. Go on, Krusty.
First thought was Bray Wyatt.
That was my first.
Is it coming? Is he coming back? Because he's had hints, hasn't he? He's put hints on Twitter and things. We don't know where or whether he's coming back. But then I thought, well, let's think this realistically. Edge has just been absolutely destroyed. I think they may have realised they've messed up Judgment Day. I think they've completely cocked it up. But
I don't think the rear injury helped. We were talking about that the other night.
No, it really didn't. I agree. But I think just to take Edge away is just insane. It was one of my favourite things, if not my favourite thing on the roster. Him coming out in his little chair with awesome music and things. But I wonder what they're going to do with this, because we were talking about him coming back as a face.
I think it is a face. It's just...
You think it is a face?
Really dark.
I think he's going to feud with Judgment Day, but it's going to be like a dark baby face kind of character.
That could be quite cool.
I mean, the only thing I will say is he's literally just changed character, like within the last couple of months. It just feels a bit weird to then change.
That's why I don't think they're going full back to, like, because I remember when we said about him changing heel, and I was like, if he comes back out to on this day and he's like all cheery with the fans, that would be stupid because he's just changed.
With his new haircut,
I think a subtle sort of move.
I suppose like an Undertaker style heel face is the style you're going for, is it?
And even like an old school Bray Wyatt, when Bray Wyatt was the Fiend as a face kind of thing. And the reason why I say, because I thought it was Bray Wyatt when I first saw it, and I know, Krusty, you mentioned Gable Steveson because you saw the medals.
Yes. Yeah, so that crossed my mind. The medals.
And I thought, well, there's no way Gable Steveson can pull off this character.
I also said Kurt Angle. Well, I did see something about Kurt Angle the other month.
He turned down some 10 completely off topic, but apparently AEW offered him a 10-match deal to wrestle in AEW, and he turned
Wow.
Because he doesn't feel like he can do it.
Yeah, I don't think he's up to wrestling 10 matches.
Yeah. I think he knows his body well enough.
Why, Fisher, if you have the inside knowledge, why were there medals there? Because that confused me.
Well, yeah, it is a Kurt Angle reference, because there was also a Latino Heat thing, which was Eddie Guerrero. There's a Hardy Boys thing in there somewhere. There was a Dudley Boys reference in there. I missed all this. There's little clips of it on Twitter. If you go back and watch, you need to watch it 3 or 4 times.
I think I did watch it a couple of times. Yeah.
I'm glad I noticed the medals, but I didn't notice any of it.
Yeah, I did notice the medals, yeah.
So they're all people that Edge has beaten and feuded with in the past. So that's why people are saying it's clearly Edge. And it would make sense because I think if it was someone like Bray Wyatt, I don't think they'd just do a little vignette to bring him back.
Yeah.
I mean, they might, but that would I think they'd do something different. But Edge has only been gone a couple of weeks. So to do a little vignette and tease him coming back makes kind of more sense, really, as well.
The only thing with feuding with Judgment Day in this way makes me feel like once the feud is over, the Judgment Day are done.
I don't have that high hopes for Judgment Day. I'm worried about it.
If they did this at SummerSlam or a little bit further along, it would have been perfect.
I mean, we were saying the other day as well on Thursday on the pod that they've completely messed up not doing AJ Styles with Finn Balor because Styles was with Balor.
Yep.
Then Balor just joined Judgment Day and AJ just went, okay, whatever, and hasn't feuded with him. They have Balor AJ feud here. You could have done AJ v Balor at Money. Neither of them were doing anything. Because on AJ v Balor at Money in the Bank, had Balor beat AJ and then do Balor v Edge.
Priest should have been in Money in the Bank.
Yeah, or something like that.
Yeah, why were neither of Balor or Priest in the Money in the Bank qualifiers?
They weren't even in the Battle Royal. It would have made so much sense to be like, I'm putting you in Money in the Bank. It's mental.
I mean,
Priest should be a contender for Money in the Bank. But yeah, we've gone way off, haven't we? Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it is baffling. Shall we talk about... So there was the only other thing that was a segment, not a match, was Kevin Owens video package that was badass and made the KO look amazing.
Didn't we get someone else had a video?
There was a Drew one as well.
Drew, yeah.
But I love the KO. I love the KO one. That was great. I don't know what it was in aid of or why it was there, but it was awesome.
He was on the show, so let's just show him being.
I think it was meant to be as well.
Don't forget about him. Yeah, let's move on then. Back to the regularly scheduled programming. We had the United States Championship up next. Bobby Lashley and Theory. What did you make of this one? Because I thought this was a really good match, personally.
Decent.
It is, and I think Bobby Lashley's low key on a bit of a tear when it comes to not amazing matches. Matches where Omos won amazing, but that's Omos. But I think he's delivering a lot in his big matches at the moment.
So is Theory, by the way. Just want to.
Theory is as well.
I think Theory's really.
Theory's brilliant.
I feel like Bobby Lashley is someone who's been around for so long and is finally kind of getting the respect he deserves.
I agree. Yeah.
Obviously, in the last couple of years, he's had the WWE title. He's had, I think, 2 runs now with the United States Championship in the last couple of years.
He had that one with Leo Rush, didn't he?
I used to find him a little bit boring, but 2 years plus ago. Well, but now,
and I think his matches are really good now. And I
get really excited.
And he's a real top guy as well. Like he is. If he was fighting Roman Reigns the next pay-per-view, you wouldn't rule him out completely if beating Roman Reigns. Like you'd think Reigns would win.
If the story was
Lashley is built strong enough. Like I think we said this maybe a year ago that Lashley was one of the best, built guys in terms of wins. He just kept winning all the time.
He doesn't lose very much, which is why I predict him to win those pay-per-view.
Yeah, and I think I don't know if you guys predicted Lashley to win this match here.
We did, all three of us.
We all went exactly the same.
We all did, and I gave my reasons and my predictions. I thought it was because Theory was moving on to Cena. Maybe he still is, but it was because Theory was going to be Money in the Bank later on in the night. But I thought it was a really good match. I thought Lashley dominated a lot of the early doors of the match, just complete control. But Theory got back into it. I thought Theory hit a really big spear on Lashley, which I quite liked.
It was weird seeing him hit the spear.
Yeah, he proper hit it as well, didn't he? He really went for it.
I think it's very difficult to think Theory is having banging matches because his character's so good. You don't want to think he's good, but he doesn't really cheat. He doesn't have interference. He cheats to get into things and has sway, but nothing ever really. It's not like the Miz in ring where he's cheating and pushing the ref and things, which is cool.
This is exactly why I thought Lashley would win this match, because I thought there's no way Theory's going to find a way to beat Lashley. Because Lashley very rarely loses. And I thought, well, unless Vince comes down and helps Theory win, then Lashley's going to win the title here. And I think for the build, even if we were getting the Cena match, which I think we are, but he didn't need the US title for that anyway. So I think Lashley winning is the right decision and gives Lashley
Also makes him
direction
look
going
so
forward.
strong. He's brought the Hurt Lock back as well.
And I mean, I mentioned to this you guys earlier, but the potential, if they keep the titles on them for Gunther versus Lashley, I'm excited for that if they do that. Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, and also with the mid-card title, you want it, and I'm not saying Theory isn't, but you want it on basically as strong a guy as you can because there's no main title on Raw.
Yeah.
So Lashley can just
They've done this perfectly now, haven't
dominate
they?
Raw, can't he, as the US champion? And you could have, like, I'm trying to think of the faces. You could have, he's a face, isn't he? Well, you could have Balor, Priest. I don't want to go up against him. You could have some really good matches for the US title. The Miz, like, there's a lot of options he could go against. So I think completely the right.
You could even
call.
put Seth down towards
Yeah.
it.
Why not have
You're
Seth
going to
go for the
make
US
it a big
title?
deal, aren't you?
Yeah.
It feels like the main title one. It feels like a world title almost, especially with Lashley holding it. So yeah.
Lashley and Walter, I think.
Yeah.
Gunter, I think they've done the right thing finally. We've had a year of a bit of a lull. Ricochet did do a good job, but I
He
think
had good
now,
matches, but it didn't feel important, did it?
No, now's
He's
the
never
time.
going to be a top guy, whereas Gunter and Lashley, and you could argue Theory, are considered top guys.
Yeah.
So that's what you want as your mid card champion, without a top champion around. Because
I just want to say how sorry, carry on.
No, I was just going to ramble. Carry on.
Oh, I was just going to say how impressive Lashley was. We know he's a massive monster, but the fact he managed to overhead press Theory.
Yeah.
Theory is a big guy, and he managed to press him. And I'm sure he only had a shoulder injury, 3 months ago? And he's pressing
incredible.
Theory over his head. That is just insane.
And this is the thing as well with Lashley. Like I said, I think he's getting better, and I think he's like 45 years old now. He's not a young guy. I feel like he's in his prime at the moment, which is really cool to see, to be honest. There was some really, like you said, that was impressive, and there was a bit where he does a rolling stunner. Theory attempted one, and he caught him and hit a power slam that got a big reaction from the crowd. The crowd was really into Bobby. I thought the crowd were really good on this show in general for most of it. There was a couple of lulls, but I thought it was a good. It might have been better in the end that it wasn't in that big stadium if they weren't going to sell it out.
Well,
So
you say about lulls. I think the big lull of tonight was Ronda v Natalia, but luckily that got a big pickup, probably the biggest pop of tonight at the end. But that match, I was like silenced or something. I was like, the crowd's not into this one at all.
Yeah, you're right. It was.
But apart from
that was about the cash. But yeah, I thought the crowd was really into it because sometimes in WWE shows they do sleep through the show, and so part of that's on WWE, but sometimes I do think it's on the crowd a little bit as well because they're not like getting into anything. But here they were into everything, and that helps. Definitely helps the quality of the show for me. But yeah, this was a really good match. It wasn't like a 5-star classic or anything, but it was good and another interesting title change and something to talk about. So yeah, happy with that.
And any last thoughts? Shall we move on? Cool.
No,
The next match was the Raw Women's title. Bianca Belair and Carmella. Fisher, you teased something earlier about this match. You want to say something?
Well, I was talking about the finish of it really because obviously I did say as well, I think it delivered as a match. I think it was pretty good, but the finish this is where I thought Liv might cash in because Carmella attacked Bianca after the match, and I thought, are they doing this to set up Liv cashing in on Bianca? And I thought, do we want to see that? Like, I thought that would be weird, like to for Bianca to lose her title if Liv wins, either that or Liv gets squashed like the match after she wins the title, or like then you get a Liv Bianca feud going forward. Like that would be a bit weird. So yeah, and then nothing happened because in storyline sense, it would have made more sense for Liv to run down here because Carmella like took out Bianca, didn't she?
Yeah, I think. Does this mean we're going to continue this feud, Carmella and Bianca?
It looks like it. Yeah.
I mean, I think
don't
Carmella
think it'll go as far as SummerSlam. I think we'll probably get another match on Raw, maybe.
Yeah.
Until something big
right.
happens. I don't think it's a SummerSlam match, surely.
No, but I said this on the Thursday pod about Raw. That I just think Carmella really impresses me when I know we haven't seen her for much recently, and she takes a long spells away from the limelight, but she's someone you can just plug into these feuds. I think Fisher, you might have compared it to Dolph Ziggler.
In that sense, yeah, not necessarily in ring style, but in the sense
but in
she has
terms
a
of
title match.
Her place on the card
Yeah.
is the same.
Yeah,
She can just go into matches, and she always delivers. Again, another really good match here.
yeah, I thought it was pretty good. It's really solid. There wasn't any noticeable botches or anything like that. It was a lot of nice counters. I like Carmella as well, trying to use the braid against Bianca, which a lot of people do, but
yeah, we do.
It always makes sense when the heel tries to use that against Bianca. And then she got a near fall from a super kick. There were a couple of points where it looked like Carmella can actually compete with Bianca here and could even beat her. And I knew she wasn't going to beat her, but well, you never know 100%, do you? But I mean, I was pretty sure. But like they tried to make it as believable as possible. And then basically Carmella was dominating actually at the point where she hit the KOD. Carmella was dominating, and then she slaps her, and that really fired Belair up. Belair hits her with some sort of elbow, I think, and then does the KOD and just pins her kind of in desperation almost, which I didn't mind. Carmella did take her to a limit a little bit. So I don't mind her having another match. I don't think it should be a SummerSlam title match. I just think she needs a fresher feud for that. I'd like to see Bayley or someone return and have a match with Belair for that. I think that would be a bigger match, or somebody else, Alexa Bliss or something. It could be Rhea if Rhea's back, of course, because she was meant to have the spot here.
I think that's the big one, if she's well enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. Do you have anything else to add to that, Krusty?
No, just it was a pretty good match. As Fisher said, sort of went a bit to the line towards the end. I thought the rest of it was quite one-sided, though. I thought more towards Belair, but that's what you'd expect. And as you said, Keeney, Carmella, when she's not got an annoying gimmick, is actually pretty spot on, really. She's a very good all-rounder.
Yeah, she really is. Let's move on to the next match.
Can I just say one thing actually before the next match? So there's one little segment we missed, which I think was worth noting about, which was the Logan Paul. She had a bit of an on-screen promo calling out the Miz.
Yep.
So that was interesting. Just a little thing, because obviously the Miz on Raw said that he's teaming with Logan Paul, and then I thought that was a very strange thing for Miz to say, but they've obviously
Logan Paul v. the Miz at SummerSlam.
Well, since we're talking about SummerSlam matches, without going into the actual match, we had an after-match angle, didn't we? Well, not even an angle. It was just an off-air segment, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Money in the Bank. So
Corbin.
That's it. Baron Corbin attacking Pat McAfee from behind. This was off-air, so if you have to check this out.
It's literally as Theory was celebrating at the end.
It was awesome, to be fair. I want to see a stronger booked Corbin. It's quite frustrating when he's just booked as this weakling all the time.
Yeah.
But I'm not expecting him to win at SummerSlam, but seeing the end of days again on the outside, it's just such a cool finisher. Absolutely wrecked Pat McAfee, didn't it?
And I loved McAfee went to the UFC afterwards with the McMahons, and he had a neck brace on, telling
that's so good.
That Pat gets it, doesn't he? He gets it. That's what I love.
He does. Pat. Well, he sat with the big dogs, isn't he?
I love how he's just part of the McMahon family now.
It's awesome.
So I'm surprised. I was surprised not to see Austin Theory there, to be honest.
Yeah.
And that obviously sets up. He accepted the challenge from Pat McAfee first SummerSlam match. So Baron Corbin versus Pat McAfee.
This is turned into Money in the Bank review and SummerSlam preview. That's nice.
Yeah. There's quite a lot of setup there.
This is how we are. This is how we roll here at Recharge Wrestling.
Talking of a SummerSlam preview, do you think we're going to get a rematch at SummerSlam between the Usos and the Street Profits after this banger because of the finish?
I don't know what the finish means, and I don't know how intended it was.
Oh, it was definitely intended because they showed it on the screen. The Street Profits reacting.
No. So I agree that it was all like, once but I don't know if he meant to have his shoulder up, and it was like, oh look, his shoulder's up. To me, it felt like they showed a replay with his shoulder up. I'm like, oh, we need to mention this. We can't just ignore this shoulder up. So then they made a thing of it. I don't know whether that was the scripted angle to finish the match. I think by Montez's reaction, it was, but I'm not 100% sure. Because it was a weird finish, wasn't it?
I didn't notice it at all at the time until Montez Ford was like irate after the match, and I was like, "What's he?" And that's why I thought, well, if it wasn't meant to happen, he wouldn't draw attention to it. They would have just gone, no one noticed. It's fine. Whereas he drew attention to it, and then it became a big deal. They showed on the screen and everything. So for me, it was done too quickly for it to be not meant to happen. But the match itself, let's talk about the match itself, because it was a classic tag team match. It might have been the best match of the night, honestly. It was so good.
I think it was the best match of the night. I think it is in that conversation for match of the year. That's my opinion of this match. I thought it was that good.
I think it was good. I don't know about
match of the year. Tag team match of the year, maybe.
I loved it. I was like more glued to this than any other match. And I didn't think, I thought it'd be a good match because these four guys don't fail, but God, I thought it was good. So many near falls that had me, and just towards the end. And I think even the after match angle kind of makes it better in a way, because you have that like controversy around it. So it makes it was a great match, but there's like a little asterisk on it.
One thing I think needs to be addressed from this match is how underrated Angelo Dawkins is, man. He is so bloody good. And Montez gets all the credit, and rightly so, because Montez is amazing.
I think it used to be that way. I think Dawkins has really come a long way. I think people have noticed, including WWE, because we had that moment where we honestly thought he was going to go singles.
I still think they might eventually, but now I think if they do, I'd be less worried about Dawkins than I would have been maybe a few months ago. I still don't think he'll be pushed as much as Montez, but I think basing on what he does in the tag team match and the amount of stuff they give him, I do think they like Dawkins as well.
I said this in my predictions. I still think these guys are breaking up soon.
Yeah, maybe.
I think Street Profits are breaking up. I predict Dawkins is going to turn heel, and I predict Montez is going to be pushed as a big baby face. I don't know how far Montez Ford can go, but
it would make sense looking when you look at, they're making quite a big deal of his physique. He's putting muscle on.
Montez looks great now.
And if you look at other people that they changed their appearance, look at Gunther.
Yeah.
He was losing weight in preparation for this big push. So I think you're probably right there. I hadn't really thought about it. They even mentioned it a few times in the ring, saying how he's put muscle on and he's still managing to fly around.
They weirdly mentioned it on SmackDown as well, didn't they? When was it Kayla Braxton was interviewed both teams, and she said, this isn't a SmackDown review by any means, but she said something about how do you address the rumors that you two aren't getting along anymore?
Yeah, that was weird.
Out of nowhere, it felt like, but it felt like it's planted some seeds there for the breakup.
I think there is, and I think to the point about Dawkins, I think WWE are thinking, okay, we can't let Dawkins be a Tucker. We have to, like, he is very good. We have to give him some limelight, and I think they're preparing Dawkins as much as they're preparing Ford for a singles push. And I can see Dawkins being a decent heel with his little thing he does. I just think it could work. I think it could be a really smarmy heel doing that.
I almost don't want them to split up though, because they're just.
I don't either, because there's so few authentic tag teams that are really popular.
I reckon
actually that good in ring as well.
Yeah, I mean, amazing. I reckon you can plug Dawkins into Alpha Academy. I reckon he could go in there.
Oh, Keeney.
No, not having that.
Maybe, but
Dawkins, Notice as a team. Oh,
maybe I wouldn't rule it out.
I don't know. It's just an idea, but I just think Dawkins could work as a heel. And like you say, I was worried about him when the initial, rumors of not rumors, but whispers, whatever they are, of them two breaking up. But right now, I think Dawkins would be fine on his own, and I think that's on purpose. I think WWE are purposely giving Dawkins moments in the ring.
He's getting a lot. I notice. I write it every week on my notes. Oh, hot tag from Dawkins. He's like running wild. Like,
he does his cool little spinning
big
thing
dive
into the corner.
Yeah, and he's doing dives over the top rope now, isn't he? The suicidos.
He's doing dives, and he's he's a big lad. But yeah, we spoke a lot about the Street Profits. Let's talk about the Usos.
Yeah, the guys who retain their championships.
We said all the time they lose in the build-up, all the time, and then they win on the pay-per-views when it matters. And they deliver in the big matches, don't they, as well, as a tag team.
They really
These
do.
are two of the top tag teams in the world right now. I mean, you can point to a lot of teams at AEW and other places. But in terms of WWE, these are two great teams.
They are, but unfortunately, the Street Profits are the 2s, and the Usos are the 1s.
Yeah.
We the
We
ones.
the ones.
Because they get the job done on in big matches, and I guess that's their whole character moment is they don't do so well in the build-up, but they do well in big matches. Again, there's obviously some drawbacks to that because you don't want your champions to lose all the time, but it's how they book tag teams in WWE, and unfortunately, they're just the tag champs at the moment. And I think unless you're going to take the title off Roman, I don't know why you'd take the belts off of the Usos. You might as well
I agree.
You might
I
as well
think that's
just
what's
keep
keeping
them
it
all.
on them.
Yeah, because I actually think Profits would be quite good as champions. I think they'd be great. But
I wish there were 2 sets of belts though.
and haven't the Profits moved to SmackDown permanently? Did they say that on SmackDown?
I don't remember them saying that.
I thought the Profits were saying that this was their new home. Maybe they were just saying that because they thought they were going to win the belts, maybe. But I took it as they were moving to SmackDown. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't remember hearing that, but maybe.
I mean, there's not really a brand split anymore. Let's be honest, it's kind of all over the place. But
yeah, especially for the build-up for Money in the Bank, it has been. But
yeah, well, again, this is a real side note, but I'm sure Riddle's stipulation the other day was he wasn't allowed on SmackDown anymore. Then
yeah,
it's on like the SmackDown 2 weeks later. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a real side note. But the match itself was amazing. I've given my praise. I thought it was a match of the year contender. I'll be writing it down as one of my contenders. It's not going to win match of the year, but
You can write it down.
I think it's in a conversation because I thought it was amazing. Amazing.
I thought it actually started quite slow.
Yeah, I actually thought the match started very slow.
But
I was a bit concerned to mention this because of how hot you were on it.
That's all
And
right.
I was like, did I watch the
We have
same
different
match?
opinions.
But yeah, we definitely started off too slow. For probably about 10 minutes, I think it was too slow.
That's
then
the thing with the Usos now.
the near falls died.
In these characters, the Usos and Roman, they're very slow and methodical. We know they can be a lot quicker, but their characters now are very like that.
It does work for the character,
yeah,
but
it makes the matches.
It doesn't make match of the years. I'm afraid.
I thought the second half of the match was amazing, though.
Boo,
that made up for
match of the year. No way. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I agree. It
loads
was
of near falls, like kicking out of the. Obviously, Ford did his big splash off the spine buster from Dawkins. The Usos hit splashes, super kicks, everything they do as well. Like loads of big spots. The crowd as well were absolutely eating this up. Like there was "This is awesome" chants. I'm pretty sure during it.
There was from my house anyway.
just Cheney on his own.
Yeah.
No, the crowd were really, really into it. Considering as well, this is a match we've seen a lot of times before, so it's not really a fresh.
We have, haven't we?
It wasn't in the build-up. I was like, oh, I can't wait to see Usos with Street Profits because we have seen it before. So there was not really, to be honest, it was probably the match I had least interest in before, purely because of that. But it ended up being in ring, probably maybe the match of the night. Although the women, I might give it to the women's Money in the Bank between the two for me.
Yeah, that's fair. Anything else on this one before we move on to the main event?
No. Delete.
Yeah, we've already discussed Natalia Ronda. Was there any more weird segments, Fisher, or are we okay?
No, that was it. No, I kind of clustered them all together. I just forgot the Logan Paul.
Was there a KFC advert or something we forgot to mention?
No,
we got the KFC adverts.
I do forget those adverts. To be fair, they were the best. When you had like Ziggler dressed up as the Colonel.
Yeah.
Bring it back. Ziggler. Bring it back. Give Ziggler something to do.
Colonel Ziggler. Don't think he'd get mentioned on the pod today.
He's had two. You just compared him to Carmella for some reason. Well, no, I didn't remember that.
he's having a good pod, Ziggler. All right, let's move on to the main event. I mean, we'll get into everything, but to start off, all the entrances, then Adam Pearce comes out and says there's one more entrant. Yeah. Who did you think it was going to be? I thought it was going to be Cody. Who did you think it was going to be?
It was never going to be Cody. At the start of the match.
That's what
I can understand if he came in at the end and took the briefcase, like you said. That would be one thing. But
unless his injury was complete bullshit, there is no chance.
Yeah.
I honestly thought it was going to. I don't know why. I thought it was going to be John Cena. Because I know he's around and he's going to be in SummerSlam.
Did any of you think Brock at any point?
I thought it could be Brock because it wouldn't surprise me.
Can you imagine?
I'd have loved it if it was Roman.
No.
Yeah, and he was desperate to because he was desperate to like not lose his titles. That could actually make sense. That
Get
champion
him
does
in,
that one
win
day.
the title, and he's like, "Well, I ain't gonna cash in."
I was a bit like, okay, whatever. When
Then have him lose to Brock and cash in.
And this is my issue getting to the
Embrace
winner.
yourself.
It made it so bloody obvious that person was winning, and that was my main. I think that was why I was so down on Theory winning, Keeney. It's not just about Theory for me. So they've done this too many times in Money in the Bank matches.
Yeah, this is a real giveaway of who's going to win. Like adding some special entrant in 8th.
I kind of wish it was Vince McMahon that came out though. The amount of bullshit he's been doing and coming out and saying
because every week.
Why couldn't he come out and say, "I'm putting Theory in it"?
Yeah, at least then it would have made a bit more sense. Because I know Pierce did it on behalf. You can still link it to. But yeah,
Pierce is
right.
supposed to be a face, and he came out looking really snide.
Yeah, he did look really smug, didn't he?
He did look really smug. Like it didn't make any sense to me, unless he's turning.
Well, based on what we've seen on the SmackDown recently, I could see that maybe happening.
Yeah, he did put
that's
Sonya
for another.
Hello,
day.
Fax Fisher, straight in there, shut me down.
No, I'm just saying.
I think Vince should have come out.
I agree with you, by the way, because it's not like if Vince hadn't been on TV, I'd say maybe Vince doesn't want to be on there, but Vince has been on TV like every week, just doing nothing, saying random bullshit. So he should definitely have come out here. Storyline wise, it would have made much more sense for him to come out here and put Theory in the match. I totally agree with you.
But it does work in Theory's character.
And we know he was there because it was at the bloody UFC with Pat McAfee afterwards.
Exactly. But yeah, I think it works for Theory's character to be that, to have this slot. And yeah, it was obvious who was going to win. So that is a downer.
It ruined it, especially at the end when it was Riddle and him like fighting. I was like, well, Theory's winning this battle.
Yeah. But so you said earlier, Fish, that some people maybe didn't pull their weight as much
online because, and I did this is where I did a poll as well because I was going to do one on Liv Morgan about her cashing in on the same night because I think that was a bit like some people were a bit like a bit fed up with the women doing that, and the other thing was Theory winning. So I did a poll. It got a few votes.
I think we like to moan for the sake of moaning,
but it was 52% said no, and then 20 something was let's see. And then
what was the question?
So it was Theory winning the right choice?
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, over half said no. To be honest, with all cashing, you do have to wait and see.
It should always be a let's see. I don't think you could ever say no.
Even with like Otis, I was like, let's see what happens.
Has to be. It
ended up being a skid mark and a half. Let's say that.
It's a very good opportunity. I know we hate a failed cash in. But
that's another one. This is he's not winning the title, I don't think.
Well, this
not against
you could have him cash in when I've just been thinking about it in my head. Here's a pitch for you. Cena confronts Roman randomly, just comes out and starts going, "Never get up, man," and then tells him he can't see him, and then something happens and he FUs him. AA, not FU. That's the old school. See, I'm going back.
That was a submission.
So Roman's damaged, and then Theory's like, you know what? I'm going to cash in now. And Cena's just sort of stood there watching him, but then breaks the pin or something like that and stops him doing it. There's your setup for SummerSlam.
Or, I mean, he could cash in at SummerSlam in the Brock. At the end of the Brock reigns after they batter her up, and he just comes in, wins the belt, and walks off as champion, and then Brock and Reigns are after him. Or you could wait until Cardiff, Drew McIntyre beats Roman, crowd go wild, Theory comes out, cashes in.
I saw
Theory cashes in on Drew.
Yeah, I saw that someone suggested
in front of our eyes, and I know, yeah,
that'd be disgusting.
It would be great to see a cash in live,
but he cashes in, but fails. Because
I don't want him to fail, and I don't think he will fail.
I hate failed cash-ins, but I also don't think Theory is ready. I'm all for putting on a new person, but I think it's too soon to make Theory world champion. I think it's too soon.
I don't think it is.
He's like the youngest ever United. He's just had the gimmick of the youngest ever United States champion. I don't think him winning the world title.
What about him being so arrogant that he goes for the US title again?
No,
that's No, I don't like that.
No,
That's
sorry, Christine,
devaluing
not
Money in
having
the Bank.
Not
I
having
think
that.
that's
I
always
don't like you. How about that?
that's like in NXT when they go in the women's tournament and then they went for the tag titles. It's similar to that for me, where it devalues it for me.
No, I think Theory is ready to be champion. I think I said this the other day that didn't look out of place with John Cena next to him. The only thing I will say is last time he was same ring as Brock absolutely used him like a toy. So
that's what I mean. It's not believable for me that he can cash in on Roman whilst Roman's champion. It doesn't.
I think he could, given the right circumstance. I think anyone can cash in.
My other problem with it is that we spoke about it on Thursday that there were 4 people in this match that had really good stories where if they won Money in the Bank, you can make a really good storyline out of it. Now, I know you can do something with Theory here with a Vince connection. I'm not debating that. But you had 4 people already set up. You did qualifiers, you did battle royals, you did 4-ways on SmackDown. Set all this stuff up just for someone to not in the match win. When Riddle could have had redemption story against Roman after he beat him. Sammy had an amazing storyline set up. I actually think that was the best storyline.
Yeah, it was.
I don't think he would have been believable beating Roman either, by the way. So I think we would.
No, but I think he could have had a really funny cash in though.
The cash in would have been amazing, and the story of him keeping the Money in the Bank hostage till the right moment. Drew with the clash at the castle, and then obviously Seth Rollins, right? All had great stories. So for Theory to come in and just go, "Nah, I'm winning," even though I think they can make a good story out of it, for me, I just don't think it was necessary.
So I'm okay with it because of who it is, because it's someone who has never won the title, has never been in a main title picture.
Yeah.
And it's not a joke because he's been US champ for a while and beating people like Balor and
it's not Otis.
He's beaten AJ Styles, he's beaten Balor clean, he's beaten Priest clean. He's not like Nikki ASH or Otis. So he's in that perfect spot on the card. There's probably about 5 or 6 people who are in that spot.
Yeah. We always want new stars. We are making them. This Money in the Bank has made 2.
Yeah, and that is what I want for Money in the Bank. My number one ask is give it to someone.
It's quite funny because we predicted Becky and Seth to win.
No, I know, but this is better.
And I would have been delighted with that as well, by the way.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, because they're both great, and
even though I agree with you, normally it should be used to build new stars. But
I'd have been happy with Drew, but does Drew need Money in the Bank? No, he doesn't.
Drew doesn't need it.
Or you give it to Corbin and let him lose.
I mean, even Riddle, he just lost clean to Roman the other week. Him as Money in the Bank. Who's the other one we said? Oh, Sami Zayn. I'd have loved that actually. But
I think Sammy would have been amazing.
He would have been. I loved it. Side of match.
He would have been the highlight of SmackDown every week.
Spoke about the match yet, but Omos obviously dominated, and Sami Zayn was hiding behind the ring post and going shush to the crowd. So brilliant. I love him.
Omos was banging in this match.
Yeah, I was going to say actually, can we talk about Omos and how?
Yeah,
Omos getting destroyed is the best thing he's done.
He was actually beating people up, and he looked decent enough doing it.
This is when he was on the offense. I've seen Omos. I've not been a big fan of his.
And then when he took that bump through the table, I was like, fair play to you.
That was a big.
Do you know what I mean? Because that was a big old bump.
That was awesome. Them lifted him up. That was so cool.
I love Pat McAfee during that because obviously you could see him in the camera shot because he was stood up out of the way. And as soon as he goes for it, Pat's jumping around. He was like so excited. It was so good. Loved it, Pat McAfee. But yeah, brilliant from Omos. The best I've seen him. I think we all agree.
Bit of flashbacks from Hell in a Cell, ladders all over him.
So earlier,
didn't we have that for Braun Strowman once? Or
they buried him under the ladders and that. Yeah.
Yeah, we've seen that spot before.
We have seen that. That's been done a few times.
Yeah.
Big Show, I think they did it too once way back as well when the
Kane. I
think
they did it to Kane. One of the early Money in the Bank.
Probably anyone over 6'5". Has been buried.
So earlier I was saying comparing it to the women's match and talking about how every woman got their moment to shine here. One thing I was disappointed with this match was the lack of some of them, particularly Seth Rollins, which is weird because I thought he'd carry this match. Honestly, I thought Rollins would do a lot of the work because he's the best. There's other good wrestlers in the match, but certainly if you want a banger, you put Seth in center stage. And I felt like he didn't do much on it. He was outside so much. And I thought Drew and Sheamus carried this match in terms of wrestling. They did a lot of the work.
And Big Omos.
Yeah, Omos.
Omos did a lot of, he took some bumps and stuff, but like Sammy's character, he was hiding around the ring. He did some stuff.
There was
Seth?
one banging spot which included Riddle and Seth. That RKO off the
Oh,
ladder
that was
mad.
awesome. That
I
was
know
awesome.
Riddle's just a Orton tribute act, isn't he? Now it's great.
He is Randy
Because
Orton, isn't he?
RKO's left, right, and centre, but yeah, he hits them really well. So fair
Although he
play
did
to
do a
him.
massive floating bro, didn't he?
Yeah, that was a big one.
That was pretty cool.
I just think I was a little bit disappointed with some of that. I felt like a bit because there was bits where like Sheamus and Drew were brawling in the ring for like 2 minutes. Then they were teaming up on people, which I enjoyed, by the way. When they were doing the fight, on Madcap as well.
When they were trying to one up each other on Theory, that was awesome, right?
We've spoken about Drew and Sheamus, and you Keeney talked about him. You haven't seen the pod from the other day, Krusty, but Keeney talked about him being a team. And the more I'm seeing, the more I'm liking the idea of it.
I think you could have Drew and Sheamus for the Usos. That's quite a cool tag team title match, isn't it? I mean, the only thing
do
is
it in the back in the build up for Clash of the thing.
Yeah,
it's brilliant to have them win.
The only thing is though, we had Butch came down and stopped Drew as he was.
I don't think they are going to do that.
Yeah, but maybe
it could play to it.
Yeah, but maybe Butch annoys Sheamus, and they're both like, "Oh, bugger off, mate," and then they team up. And then
to be honest, you could have Drew just join their faction.
Yeah, or Butch and Ridge against Sheamus and Drew. Although it seems a bit one-sided, but
yeah, Butch's involvement here was quite funny actually. His little involvement in this match. Good to see him in a Money in the Bank match, even if he wasn't competing in it.
Yeah, but it kind of suits his character. Just come out. And attack people, doesn't it?
There were some. Like I said, there were some really good spots in this match in general. There was
the parts where they were pinning each other under the ladder, and Drew actually bench pressed the ladder.
Oh yeah, that was ridiculous strength to do that.
There was one bit where Madcap Moss launched Sammy, and Sammy sold it. He went into the corner on the ladder, and Sammy sold it like crazy. It was an amazing bit of selling.
Sammy's so good. Isn't
yeah, it reminded me of. I'm going to mention his name again for the third time in this pod, but Ziggler when he used to
get
Dolph Ziggler.
It was a Ziggler bump. He literally looked like he'd folded in half, which is what Ziggler used to sell like. It was like that. It was a crazy old bump. There's cool bits with Drew headbutting Moss off the ladder, and then Sheamus stopped it. The floating bro, which you've already mentioned.
Omos taking finishes everywhere.
Every finisher, basically.
Kick, a haluva stomp, and a stomp.
Yeah.
Before the big old table spot.
It was a good match, this, but it was
good, but it wasn't as fluid. Apart from the Omos sections, there wasn't more than two people in the ring.
And again, I felt like I barely saw. Like Madcap Moss was. I forgot he was in the match until just looked at my notes.
I do wonder why he was added. I don't know why they just didn't leave a seventh entrant open.
Yeah,
then Theory done what he did.
I think they just want him on the stage. This Madcap while he's there.
Yeah, it just seemed weird.
I think then people would have been more receptive to the outsider winning, because I think we could have predicted it. Like in my predictions, I might have been tempted to go, right, we know there's going to be a surprise person. I'm going to go for the surprise to win. Whereas we didn't get that. And
just
then it was
an
extra day, and then you think, oh, he's definitely winning now.
Yeah. Because they had that seventh spot open, and I don't know why they gave it to Madcap on Friday.
We'll get to the whole mess of SmackDown, but why Happy Corbin wasn't just added after the Battle Royal, I have no idea, by the way. But we'll talk about that.
Why did they do
that? Was ridiculous. They did a Battle Royal, which Corbin won. I was like, cool, he's in Money in the Bank. And then he went backstage and they're like, right, we've got to sort out who's in Money in the Bank. And Corbin was like, I just want a Battle Royal.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, he's actually got a good point.
I suppose in a way that actually that explains the angle in a way. He was so frustrated that he just came and kicked the hell out of Pat.
Yeah, maybe.
I just don't think you needed to add anyone. If they knew Theory was going to be added, I don't know why they needed to fill that seventh spot. Just leave an empty gap. And Tony Khan does it every bloody week. Just promise a surprise entrant.
Maybe though. Then you could have accused of what AEW gets accused of sometimes, which is under delivering.
By the way, this is a real side note. This probably isn't for this pod, but the fact that they called it an old-fashioned battle royal on the same night AEW did like a Royal Rumble, whatever they called it.
Royal Rampage, yeah.
Royal Rampage. They called it. Oh, that felt like a real
It was like definitely
a retaliation to AEW.
It was definitely a little dig.
That's just a side note.
Yeah, that was quite funny. But so back to this match. Was there any other big spots that you wanted to talk about?
Not so much big spots. I guess the question is what next for a lot of these people because there's no clear what next for Seth without Money in the Bank.
I think we're going to get Seth. Cody. I think Seth and Riddle are going to feud based on what we've seen on Raw.
Yep. Okay.
I think that's a SummerSlam match. So Seth and Riddle.
Fair. I mean, I think Sheamus and Drew. I think there's some. I think there's a team there coming up. Or that's what I'd like to see anyway.
There's definitely still a story there that's ongoing anyway.
A match between them still, but we have
I don't know what Omos is just going to be like one of those people you put in big spots. It's like a Braun Strowman, isn't it? It'd be in the Money in the Bank match. He'd be in it to do this big thing.
He doesn't need to do anything.
And then he won't do anything for about 2 months.
Worthwhile. It's hard to have him in a proper feud because he's so big and
so powerful.
I thought they'd do a spot where he nearly grabs it from like the first rung or something. They didn't do that.
Well, I thought they might have done a thing where like MVP got on his shoulders and like touched it or something.
Yeah.
I thought they might have done something
like that. They should have done something like that. 100%.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm trying to think who else was in there that I think we probably like Madcap Moss's got nothing really planned.
In terms of Theory, how long do you think he's gonna? Because the thing is, right, and they've mentioned it so often. They keep talking about them cashing in at SummerSlam. And they never normally do that. They normally don't tell you when someone's going to cash in. They keep saying, whoever wins, very likely to cash in on Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns, which makes me think they're definitely not doing that. Yeah, and Michael Cole said it about 10 times on commentary.
It's a last man standing match.
Yeah, because it's the last man standing match and one of them would be down. Like, whoever wins after will be
I think having something like Theory just lurking around the match or coming out and not cashing in, things like that, playing real mind games.
I think it could be. I would like him to hold on to it for a while. I would like him to cash in at Clash of the Castle.
I would like to hold him for a while, mainly because whilst Roman's champ, Theory should not be dethroning Roman Reigns. No, not a chance. If Roman's been built up for this long, it's been champion for like 2 years to be cashed in by Austin Theory. No, not for me. That needs to be a proper putting someone over as the next champ, whether that be Drew, whether it be Lashley, whether it's Cody, whoever.
Or could they get Theory to that point where you think he could beat Roman? Or is it just not possible with Theory?
The thing is, the characters don't mesh either, really, because Theory's a heel, Roman's a heel. And why would Vince... because the only way you could have him win is if like Vince helped him beat Roman, and then that, for me, it'd just be a weird storyline. That, like, why would you want Roman to lose the title? It's just odd.
It would be, and
that's why to me it makes sense when Roman's lost the title. So for me, he has to have the briefcase for quite a long time for that reason, unless he cashes in, makes it a triple threat at the last man standing match, and pins Lesnar to win the title. That's a possibility. You could do that.
Yeah, so I think the most likely scenario of Theory cashing in is on the night that Reigns loses the title. Whoever he loses to, I can see Theory cashing in on whoever wins straight away and just ruining their moment, because that seems to be his kind of deal. I don't think he'll cash in and pin Roman Reigns. I think he'll cash in.
What I did like, by the way, was him taking a selfie with the briefcase.
Oh, we're going to have loads of selfies and briefcases. He's going to make something of this briefcase.
Do you think as well we're maybe going to have more Vince involvement in this, like telling him when to do it and stuff? I think
sat in the office with
him. For me, that would make it more interesting. If Vince doesn't get involved in this and we don't see Vince telling him to do it, I don't really think
he hasn't been that involved.
Not recently, not since Mania, has he?
But so what I will say about Theory is the one thing that makes his character work is him having something to brag about, and he brags about his muscles or whatever. He bragged about the US title. He lost that, but he's now got to brag about this, and that will work for his character. So in the same way it would have worked for Rollins, in terms of he could just lurk around, be really cocky with it, stand at ringside for matches and just be a nuisance. I think Theory can do the same thing. I agree. He could still, again, Rollins has more history.
Really get him over.
But I really think he could be, maybe there'll be a point where Reigns gets sparked out by Lesnar in the build-up, and in Theory comes out, I think he's going to cash in. He just takes a selfie with Reigns's body with the briefcase and walks off again.
Funny.
You can get some stuff like that.
I honestly think Theory is a really good choice. And if he was in the match, I might have predicted him. I think I would have been tempted to, because I think I can see him as Money in the Bank. I would not have.
It's one of those big surprise. I can see him as Money in the Bank, but I can't see him as champion. In the same way, Sami Zayn would be a great Money in the Bank winner, but I can't see him being universal, especially with 2 belts. I just don't see it.
Yeah, I mean, I have to admit the undisputed 2 belts thing does make it seem a bit like,
especially going from a dominant
but
champion like Roman to then Austin Theory would feel like the downgrade of the century, to be honest.
I think they've
And
well,
plus how popular they are as a superstar. I mean, Theory's on his way up. He's a young up and coming star.
I'm surprised by
But
the
there's a lot of
popularity of Theory.
It's mainly because of out of wrestling stuff, which I'm not going to go into on pod.
It's nothing
I think
to do
it's mainly
with how he's being pushed or anything.
Well, I think it is. I think people think he's over pushed, people always push back on that though.
But
He's had it with
he's
Roman Reigns.
He's a very new star though. He's only been pushed for like 6 months. If this had been, 10 years like Brock Lesnar or whatever, I get that, but it's still new and fresh. We haven't seen Theory v half the top guys.
No,
yet.
I know, and that makes it fresh and exciting. I think people want a new star, but they don't want Theory as that new star, I guess.
And this, I think some people just like to have a problem with something.
There are some people that just like
moan for the sake
whoever's
of
getting
moaning.
pushed. There is that.
WWE never create new stars, then they give the money back to early 20s guy who's never won a top before. Oh no, not him. I don't like him. Like, well, okay, like WWE can't do right for.
Happy to criticize after it's been done.
Yeah,
let's give it a few months, give it a few weeks.
I think time will always tell. Like we said before, time will always tell.
Of course, I hope
some people have held
criticism of Judgment Day and Edge, but I think that was too soon.
Sometimes someone wins a briefcase and you think, oh, this could be good, and it ends up being nothing. And then sometimes you win it and you don't think anything exciting is going to happen. And then,
well, it was a while ago, but do you remember when Corbin won it? He was quite fresh up to the main roster.
That was so annoying.
We probably got excited, and then he lost.
We did. I was fuming.
Yeah, but the way Corbin was booked at the start, he won Andre Giant Battle Royal early on. Then he was probably not too similar to Spot Theory's in now, Corbin originally, but then they ruined it with him, and now he's just a mid card guy who loses to Madcap Moss every week. So
I can see Theory
they do ruin it.
I can see Theory failing.
I don't like failed cash-ins unless there's like a good story behind it. And I don't think there is one for Theory right now. So I don't want him to not cash in.
Cena stopping him.
Yeah, that's annoying. That would annoy me. That would annoy me if Cena stopped
him. For once, I might be Team John Cena here.
Nah, I'm feeling the way. I'm gonna get an A-Town Down t-shirt.
You've loved Theory.
I've loved him since NXT. I'm a big Theory fan.
I like him as a talent. I just I don't know. I just think it's a bit too much too soon in terms of if he cashed in. And there's other guys.
Isn't that what we want though? Isn't that what we want? Someone completely fresh and unexpected to just blow our mind.
I don't want say I'm going to compare it to let's just say an AEW. Out of nowhere, you say, out of fresh just completely blows your mind. Like, say Kip Sabian returns, and then
Kip Sabian
is not Theory. You can't say
He's on TV every week. He's with Vince McMahon. He's had a match with. He was in Stone Cold segment at Mania.
No, but okay. Well, maybe it's not fair to say comes in and completely shocks us and blow our minds because Theory isn't doing that.
Yeah, really. But he isn't someone you saw as champion. But now we're starting to have discussions.
Peter
about
Avalon cashes in.
Peter Avalon.
Yeah, what I'm saying is you want there to be, obviously you want a shock factor in a way, but you also want someone who's been kind of built to it. Maybe he has been a little bit.
I think you just described Lost in Theory to me. It's a shock factor, but he's been built quite well.
He's got the backing of the people backstage on and off screen.
But I think it also has to have a backing of, it has to have a natural. The problem with the Theory push is it's not an organic push. It's not a fan wanted push like Liv Morgan's is, right? Or like Big E's was. It's very much the opposite.
You say that 1 out of 3 of us absolutely loves him.
Yeah, but you've only got to go online and see the reactions to cash in and know that people don't like Austin Theory. And it's not because we don't like heels. It's no, they don't like him.
If you come to my Theory fan club sessions every Wednesday night, you'll see a lot of people that love Austin Theory.
So, I don't mind Austin Theory.
I wonder if I get your point. I wonder if that's because he's a heel and people.
I think his character's so good.
It's go away heat. It's not boo like Roman Reigns or Seth
Rollins. I can't be dealing with that sort of stuff though. I can't.
I love him.
I'm interested to see what he does.
I don't know if love. I like him a lot. But I think he's I came away from this Money in the Bank very happy with their choices as
if you go back to 3 years ago, I wanted Roman Reigns to go away big time. Look what's happened there.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of people we've wanted. We wanted Brock to go away for a long time, and then we ended up loving him. Like,
it can turn very quickly. Absolutely,
things can turn, and I just think Theory has, in terms of,
he has
again,
all the tools.
I'm ignoring.
Not saying he doesn't have all the
I'm not
tools.
gonna. I don't know the ins and outs of off screen, but in terms of in ring promos, everything he's got, his look, physique, everything, he's just got it all. I just think he is a future world champion. I think I would have said this before. I think
he's a future world champion. I wouldn't have thought to 2022 though. Do you know what I mean? Because he had the mid card belt, and I thought that was
could be
fine.
2020. He's got a year. Could be 2023.
No, it's just like it's.
If
just
you
funny
want him
reading
to
my
get the
notes.
biggest heat in the world, you have Cody come back, win those belts, and he cashes in on Cody.
Yeah.
See, I think if Cody didn't get injured, Cody would have just won the briefcase.
Yeah, I agree. I think Cody
we wouldn't have
Cody
been having
would
this
have been
conversation.
the Money in the Bank. Yeah,
I
do agree with
but
that.
it's funny just reading the end of my notes. It's like Riddle and Theory fight on ladder. Theory wins. Oh great! Lol selfie with the case, of course, and that's it. That's all I wrote. So
Fisher
that was
hates
before
it.
I looked
Fisher's
online.
one of these trolls on Twitter.
No, it's not. But it was so obvious when he entered the match. That was why I was like, oh,
that is the downfall. Yeah, I do agree that it shouldn't have been done like that.
If it was announced before, I probably wouldn't have been as annoyed. I still would have been like, oh, I don't think he's great. I don't think
if he'd just, had a match of anyone on Raw, qualified, got into the match, and then won it, it might have been a different story. I do agree. I think the way he was introduced,
it made it worse for me.
And considering they've done the same with Brock recently, and I just think you can't just keep introducing people willy-nilly to people qualifiers. I mean, it just makes all the qualifiers pointless, doesn't it, when you do this?
Yeah, that's another thing. Like, you have all these weeks of build, and I love the fact they do Money in the Bank qualifiers because it gives matches on TV stakes, and we all moan when they don't matches don't matter and stuff. So they do all this stuff. They do a 4-way second chance match. They do all this stuff, and then they have someone who doesn't even qualify come in and win it, and it's not the first time. And that's without even being Austin Theory. That could be anybody. Then you add the fact it's someone who's very divisive in terms of fan popularity or whatever, and then you had the fact of, I wouldn't have minded. Do you know what? I wouldn't have even minded so much if there was 2 belts, because you could have Roman on one show as champion, then you could have Austin Theory on the other show. If he cashed in on Bobby Lashley, who they just feuded for example, Bobby Lashley was WWE champion, he cashed in on him. And then you'd be like, okay, that's fine. He can have a little run with the title. But the fact there's one championship, I just don't see it. I just don't see it at all.
Also, I have one last point. It's more of a question: is do you think that the placement on the card has left people with sour grapes? So if you'd ended the show with Liv winning the title, if that was the closing of the show,
yes, but you couldn't really do it the other way around, because if you'd have done. You couldn't have main event the show with Ronda versus Natalia.
I guess that would have been obvious. Then it would have been something after it, wouldn't it?
Yeah. You couldn't go. We've got 2 big Money in the Bank matches on this show.
Or you don't have Liv cash in. You don't have Liv cash in tonight, but you have Liv win Money in the Bank as the closing.
If it was just that, then yes, I think.
I guess that's part of it. Is how you leave people. Like, we were big into Royal Rumble. We love Royal Rumble. We were so into it, and all of a sudden it ends with Brock coming in and winning it, and we were all like, oh, like so deflated.
And that's a bit
because of how it ended.
It wasn't at that level, obviously, but
no,
it felt flat, and I felt that even in the crowd, it felt flat when Theory won. When Liv won, there was a massive pop, how much he cashed in, and when Theory won, it was just like, okay, yeah, we saw that coming because of what happened earlier.
Do you know what? I think it's a shame we didn't all watch it together in person, because I think our reactions together, because I popped when he won. I was quite happy. So it'd be interesting to see you 2 guys next to me, like Fisher's in tears, Krusty's.
I would.
Somewhere in the middle.
I'm on the fence.
Yeah.
To be honest, you're making it. I'm not as against it as that.
No, I know. I'm exaggerating.
I just, it wouldn't have been my choice. I think out of that, if you're thinking of all 8 people in the match, you probably would have been my 6th pick out of the 8, maybe 7th. No, probably 6th, because Madcap Moss is even less been pushed and less ready than Theory.
If Madcap Moss won, that would be
Omos would have been ridiculous.
Yeah.
But everyone else, I'd put. I was going to say Sheamus, but actually, I wouldn't mind Sheamus winning it, even though it'd be really random. Sheamus for me is like top tier worker. So,
well, he is. So, and anyone got any last thoughts on the pay-per-view before we wrap up?
Yeah, let's just talk about our opinion on the show, I guess.
Yeah.
It was good.
There you go. Good opinion.
It wasn't show of the year or anything, but it was
decent. There was a couple of new stars, hopefully built. Whether or not people like them is different. We're going to get some new people on the screens in the main picture, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
I know you mentioned the negativity around the cash in, but it's always exciting to have one, isn't it?
I'm
quite pleased Ronda's lost the title as
well.
I actually think Liv carrying it around for too long as well. I don't know if she's the kind of right character for that. So in hindsight,
she's too friendly, isn't she?
Yeah,
I think she needs to get it.
It's not like a heel carrying it around.
I think it worked for Liv. And okay, Ronda's
like if
face.
Shotzi, say if randomly Shotzi won it, Shotzi would have been good.
Yeah,
carrying it around and doing weird stuff and that, but it doesn't really fit Liv's character to be chasing Bianca Belair around, going, "Oh, I'm going to sneak up on you," So I agree with what you're saying there.
Hooray! Well, I think we're fully charged up. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think so. I haven't got much else to add. Don't know about you, Fish.
I will just add that I am looking forward to looking forward to see what happens on Raw and SmackDown after that, because Theory, it is going to be very interesting with Theory now to see what happens, and then SmackDown with Liv. I never thought she was even going to be.
And we're going to have potentially a brand new Edge on Raw as well.
Yeah, and Lashley's now the United States champion. He's going to have a new feud as well, because it's not going to. We know the feud now with Theory is surely not continuing. So because why would Theory go for the US title? So that's somewhat interesting as well.
I got an off-the-cuff question for Fax Fisher.
All right.
Has Cena ever won Money in the Bank?
Yes. He's one of the only people ever to fail.
He was the first one to fail, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Because they even mentioned it. Seth mentioned it in his promo on Monday on Raw. That he failed.
Good, I was listening to that then, wasn't it?
I thought you would, because it's Seth Rollins.
I know, yeah. Normally I'm on the edge of my seat.
Yeah, Cena was the first one to fail, actually. I can't remember who he tried to cash in on now.
Nah, I don't know.
I can't remember.
I'd be guessing. I guess Del Rio. I don't know. But yeah. But on to Fisher's point, if you like us, you're excited, check out our pod this week coming out Friday morning, talking about the week's WWE wrestling. It's bound to be a good Raw. Oh, we've already had SmackDown, but it's bound to be a good Raw, and NXT is good as always.
Indeed.
I'm just randomly looking it up now to see who's seen the loss to.
Okay, well,
thanks, Fisher.
We've got to wait for this.
Come on. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da.
See if I can find it before.
It was.
This would be hated. Oh, go on then. Tell us.
It was.
He's found it. He's coming to tell us.
Punk.
There
Oh.
you go.
I thought for a second it was Damien Sandow. And I was like, it's not Damien Sandow, because when I typed it in, when I Googled it, Damien Sandow's failed cash in against John Cena come up. And I was confused. I was like,
Damien Sandow, there's a Money in the Bank holder. He's forgotten about.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think we have definitely fully charged ourselves. I hope you enjoyed that. Please follow us on Twitter. That's where all our predictions lead go in. We tweet the podcast, the YouTube videos. Please give us a follow. Like I say, on YouTube, like and subscribe. Our Twitter handle is @RechargeWrestle. We couldn't fit in wrestling, so wrestle it is. Recharge Wrestle. Send us some questions if you want to know what we think, or you have an opinion. You can either DM us or just generally chat to us on some of our posts. I hope you've enjoyed this, and keep an eye out for the pod, as Keeney said, on Friday morning. Thanks for listening.
Cool. Cheers, guys.
Bye.
Bye.